Welcome back to my channel. I thought I'll do this sort of soft glam with a few individual lashes, something quite light on the face. This is my go-to makeup, has been, and I think if you have a bit more of mature skin, this would be the perfect look to create. Use a color corrector if you need to, and then I would work on the foundation and then the concealer, but that's how I do things. My favorite foundation at the moment is this Eldridge Seamless Skin. It's very kind of like an in-between between like a tinted moisturizer and a foundation. So I feel like it's like an in-between. So it's not too heavy coverage, which I think is very nice if you want something, you know, just for mature skin, I guess, like so that it doesn't really sit in all the, you know, wrinkles and creases. The color is the only thing that's probably a challenge. So try and not buy this online, try and actually swatch it in the store. I'm wearing number 22, which is not really my color. At the moment, yes, because I'm tanned, but I've got the 19 as well here. So during winter, I kind of like mix them a little bit. So see if you can find the perfect color for you. I've always been like an in-between color with any foundation. I struggle so much. The concealer, you ideally want to use something that's equally as lightweight as your foundation, but I still like my coverage just to cover some of the pigmentation in the bags without color corrector. But even if you were using a color corrector, you definitely need a decent coverage concealer to be able to cover the color corrector as well, but you don't have to go too heavy. So I am obsessed with the Natasha ones. I've talked about it on social media so many times. The reason I'm using two colors is just they sent me so many concealers. So the one that matches me perfectly is the NP10. So it's something neutral toned, which actually fixes a little bit of my pigmentation. If I was using a color corrector, then I need something yellow based. I know it's complicated, but so I just kind of use it literally where I have a little bit of the bags, and then I've got a bit of pigmentation on the outsides. You can use it anywhere else if you've got scarring or anything like that. I leave this to set before I actually blend it in, and then I use the lighter color, which again is not something you should or have to buy, to highlight. So I like to reverse contour a little bit by just highlighting. This is literally what I use this for. So again, it's because they sent this to me in a PR package, so I have a few colors, but other than that, just the one color is fine. I prefer a sponge over a brush, which is weird because on my brides I always use a brush. I prefer a brush, but when it comes to, like, for me, maybe it's just, yeah, I find it easier. But anyway, I'm using a Real Technique sponge. They're really good, by the way. So I mean, beauty blenders are great as well. This is obviously a little bit more affordable. Now I don't know if you can see, but I'm not going all the way into my lash line. I mean, I never used to really, but now I'm bringing it down even more just because I've got wrinkles now, and just to kind of make sure that the product doesn't sit on my wrinkles and enhances my wrinkles, I'm just basically blending around it. Okay, so if you feel like you need more, I'm somebody who loves a lot of concealer, which seriously, people always have an issue with that. They always are like, oh, your concealer's a bit too much. Okay, at this stage of your makeup, if you have very oily skin, I would set the entire face with some powder, and then I'll use powder contour, powder blush, la-di-da-di-da. But because I've got quite dry skin now, and I feel like when you have more mature skin, you do tend to get a little bit drier, I would sort of stick to cream products and then maybe take some of the shine off. But one of the contours that I really like, without you looking very orange and sort of like as if you've been in the sun, not everyone likes that look, is the Sculpt by Mario, and it's like a really nice, like a muddy brown. It's not like an orangey brown, and again, you contour according to your face shape. So I definitely like my face to look a little bit more narrower. And then I find that this side of my face is a little bit rounder than this. I have no idea. I've got all my wisdom tooth removed, so I don't know why it's looking like this, but I also always sleep on this side, so I don't know. But anyway, so what I do is here I contour underneath, okay, because I'm lifting this, but here I want to push this back a little bit, so I go slightly over it. So I do both these sides slightly differently, and then very sharp line. super narrow to do the nose. I don't really bother with my forehead as much anymore. So this is what I then blend out. You can use a beauty blender if you need to. I use something like a tapered brush that's really thick and sturdy, so nothing too soft. And then I just kind of, can you see how I'm like literally pressing it in? So technically you could use a beauty blender. And I'm always start with the face, like as in the cheekbones. And then this technique that I've recently been doing is with whatever's left on the brush, I just kind of pull it down. So it gives me that kind of look. Okay, and then with whatever's left on the brush as well, I just kind of do the forehead without having to add extra product. Now, when it comes to the jawline, I don't do the pressing in, I just kind of do this swiping motion and then bring it down into the neck so it doesn't look like a harsh line. And then this one's obviously underneath. I take another sturdy, smaller brush just to do the nose. You can use like an eyeshadow brush as well, but the thing is, make sure that that brush is like really sturdy, like it's not too soft. Otherwise you're gonna sit there trying to blend this out for like forever. Right, I think that's contoured and I think it still looks really, really nice. Now I'm gonna set the under eyes a little bit with a little bit of powder just to kind of get that shine off my T-zone. Powders, loose, pressed, name it, from so many different brands, but now I've kind of come back to the Nars translucent powder and I get a powder puff. Okay, so this is not going to work with a brush, by the way. Like, you definitely want to get yourself a powder puff. You can buy these from like Amazon, they're like dead cheap. And then get the excess off so it doesn't look patchy, and then you just sort of press whatever's left, like just in the areas where you know you're going to crease later in the day or you're going to get quite sweaty or shiny. And for me, the creasing happens under my eyes, obviously, smile lines, and like my T-zone. I do tend to sweat on my upper lip. And can you see I'm just using whatever is left on the, I'm not adding powder. And then these are the areas where I tend to sweat. And if you need to, just get some shine off, or just make sure that your pores are not showing or something if you want to. Okay, so I feel like I still have a little bit of that glow, but just kind of worked with my skin texture. Okay, blush, I'm gonna go with cream, but I'm still gonna set everything with powder just so that it's long lasting. I have a long day, so as nice as glowy makeup you know, is nice and looks nice, I personally feel like it doesn't really last. It tends to transfer and it kind of looks a little bit diluted. So by the end of the day, you look like you've got nothing on your face. So I'm going to use the Nars liquid blush. I do like this just because it's not so pigmented. But if you want something pigmented, the Rare Beauty blush, like the little pen things, they're amazing as well, but they're like very, very pigmented, so you have to be like really careful with how much you use. The color is Luster. I do believe they don't have this anymore. I think this is discontinued. I could be wrong, I don't know, but I'm sticking with peach tones. Just again, I'm wearing something earthy colored today, so I kind of stick to like warm tones today. So I'm just using it on the side of my face. Can you see it's like super subtle? And then I'm just taking a brush and just kind of working it in. What I also like about this, even if you had set your entire face with makeup, this product still works on top of powder, which is nice because it's so lightweight. It's not like a, you know, it's quite liquidy. Right, as mentioned, I'm gonna set it with powder. I love the contour color in this palette. I do travel with this a lot. I do like all the colors. I'm going to use a little bit of the contour color just to kind of set this and make sure it stays. This is optional. I just like my contour to be quite strong. So that's why I'm kind of making sure that this doesn't budge and it stays the whole day. And then I'm using the Dior Backstage ones. These are like my favorites. I've got them in a few colors just to kind of set the blush, because funnily enough, I feel like blush is the first thing that comes off, especially when you hug people, or like always notice that it never really tends to last unless I do the liquid or cream and then set it with a powder blush. It stays on for the rest of the day. And as you can see, I'm using my blush sort of on the outside of the face because I don't want focus on the inside of my face. I've done everything to taper my face and to make it look as narrow as possible. If I started applying blusher here, then obviously it'll look like, but I'm sure that as I'm aging, I'm probably going to start putting it here just to give me like a little bit of freshness. But for now, I like it sort of on the outside of the face. I made is I'm going to do a laminated brow thing, and I should have really done this before applying makeup because it's so much harder to do this when there's already foundation on your face. But this is from Refy, okay? So this this was recommended by my cousins. And you need to be really quick and comfortable and know how to work this because this can look disgusting. So as you can see, I'm just like randomly applying some of this white stuff, okay, almost like a glue, but it comes out very easily when you wash your face, obviously with an oil makeup remover. So then you let this set for a little bit, a few minutes, and then like remember, like I opened it like this, you then pull it and it's got this sort of brush on there. So I'm going to use the brush bit, not the comb bit, and just sort of like press into the skin and then just shape it. Take a gel eyebrow color, and I like this sort of very thin flat angled brush. Now this is a brand that I actually bought in Malaysia. It's lasted me a really long time, but you can use any. Honestly, brand at this point when it comes to brow colors, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to, can you see how I'm holding the brush? I'm just kind of going to create these kind of light brush strokes. Again, if you feel like this is too much work, or if you feel like your hands are not very steady, just use a pencil. Wait for it to completely dry, and then just use like a really thin, sharp pencil, or you could even use powder, just to kind of fill in some of the little gaps that you have. So can you see how I'm not really pressing? I'm just kind of hovering over it and just doing like very, very light brush strokes. Not a massive fan of liquid eyeliner. I would suggest a pencil. They're so much easier to apply, and honestly, this YSL crush liner, OMG, okay? I know it sounds bougie, it's YSL, but it really, really works. Like this stuff does not budge, like it stays on. So I'm taking a slightly thicker angled brush and just getting the product onto the brush. And then I'm just going to just create like a soft smudged liner. What you can also do, if you don't like that technique, is actually with the pencil draw it on and then use the brush to kind of smudge it. So I'm going to create a nice thin flick as well. And I'm going to stretch my skin and create a sharper inner corner as well. Okay, so I've just done this sort of cat eye kind of, rather than focusing on, so this would be a great technique for people with hooded lids or very small spaces of an eyelid. I feel like this kind of extended eye thing suits so much better than having to do that bulk of the eye shape, if that makes sense. So I'm using a lash curler just to curl my lashes. Right, I'm going to use this No Smudge Double Wear mascara from Estee Lauder. Honestly, it's my favorite mascara. I love the wand. It's like tiny, but it's also smudge proof and waterproof. So for anyone who always worries about their mascara either transferring onto the lid or underneath, this would be a good alternative. So I'm just getting a nice generous amount on top of my curled lashes. And I'm going to do my lower lashes as well. I find, especially for those with wrinkles, this is a great way of kind of hiding them a little bit. And, you know, obviously the main reason is for it to open your eyes, but try this. If you don't feel like you have a lot of lashes on your bottom, try and maybe use like a brown pencil and just like smudge it underneath, again, to kind of like mask the lines, if that makes sense. You can leave it just like this, but what I've been doing recently, rather than wearing a full strip lash, is using individual lashes. Don't mind this, it looks disgusting and rank, but anyway, I bought this from Amazon. It was like £10 or something, and they come in different sort of lengths, like from 8mm to like 15. So what I do is I kind of just get a little bit of glue on the back of my hand. I still think the Dior glue is like the best. There's nothing like this. Okay, and then you need tweezers, and then what you're gonna do is get the lashes that you're gonna use. So I'm gonna get the 13mm ones. Okay, I'm just gonna grab them by the hair, not by the root. Use the root to dip it into the glue. Okay, let this sort of chill, dry for like 10 seconds. And then you're gonna place it where you want some of your extensions, and you just literally stick it on top of the hair, on top of your lashes, I mean. Okay, not the skin, the lashes, right into that gap. You know where your lashes and the skin, like that little gap is where you're basically hooking it in. And honestly, this is easy, I find this easier than a strip lash, like a full strip lash. And also, you need to keep your eyes open, because that's the only way you'll know where to place it. If you have your eyes closed, you're not gonna know where to place it, and you're not gonna see the symmetry. So do both at the same time, okay, simultaneously. Don't just do the one, because then you're gonna forget how many lashes you've used. So I've used 2 on that side. Now I'm going to, and can you see how I'm holding my hand? I'm going from above. I find it easier. Some people like to go this way. Just whatever technique works for you, really. One of my favorite lip combos, it's the Laura Mercier New Prefere. That's the color. It's kind of like a peachy color. Remember, I did like the peachy blush. See, when it's on its own without a lip liner, look how crazy this looks. I look like a Barbie doll. This is why lip liners matter so much, okay? So I'm going to take this color off, because I always like to start with a lip liner. So this is from Morphe. The color is called Sweet Tea. I do like the color Cork from MAC as well. So if you're my skin complexion, I think this is like the perfect brown. It's not too dark, it's not too light, but then you could try Cork or Chestnut. You know, darker skin complexion, Chestnut from MAC is also amazing. Can you see I'm just like overlining? Look at the difference this has already made. Like the color inside doesn't look so crazy anymore. Now, see? I'm gonna do my hair now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys liked this video and thought that this was useful. Of course, I'm going to add all the products in the description box, and let me know what you would like to see next.